We are live.
Hello and welcome to Moreness-Culture. Good morning, Syl. Good morning, Brain. Good morning, everyone who is going to join us live and will watch us recorded later. You all are most welcome to the last show of this year, 2024, and we will see you guys, of course, next year, 2025. And so,
Ah,
just to say in advance, Happy New Year to everyone. Um, we always say in the beginning of the year that Happy New Year, and now we are going to say that happy already past year, like 2024
yeah.
was also happy, because happiness is something we have. It's a thing we have complete control and access to it all the time, because
Yeah.
it's an inside thing. It's a very personal thing. It's a choice. Happiness is a choice. We can make
Yes.
a deliberate choice about it to be
Yes.
happy all the time. We can choose to be,
Yes.
because there is
Yes.
always something to be grateful about, to be happy
Oh yeah.
about, to be
Oh
cheerful
yeah.
about. And we have so many things in the last year, in this current year right now, 2024, to feel happy about this.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to say that, okay, please be happy about this, and don't just look forward for the 2025 only with the happiness and joy and prosperity and abundance and all that, but also count your abundance, your prosperity, your happiness, your blessings, and your opportunities and possibilities that you get from 2024. Because having this understanding is going to be really a good start for the 2025. Because if
Yes.
right now, in this moment, I am able to acknowledge the possibilities and the opportunities I have right now, this is the real footing, this is the real foundation I need for the next year to
Oh,
completely, fully access that, fully utilize, fully materialize all my intents, and of course the possibility and the opportunities we will have. So this is something I'm so grateful for the 2024, because I
yes.
got so much out of it. It was a
Yes.
full year, full really in every sense. We were so comfortable. I'm so thankful to the universe that, okay, that universe gave me this opportunity to to be free from any kind of stress in this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No
Yeah. Yeah.
financial stress, no
Yeah.
stress of
Yeah.
doing any things, because whatever I was doing, it was fun, always fun. I feel so blessed, so fortunate that I have this environment inside me and around me, that I am feeling comfortable and I'm doing everything with joy. Even my job, I'm doing it with joy. I can say it out loud that, oh, sorry, I made a blunder. Okay, no problem. Laugh and go move forward. I can say that, okay, no, I was a bit clumsy. I was not understanding this. Okay, laugh and repair it, and then do whatever is needed and then move forward. I can say that, okay, sorry, I didn't do my work. I supposed to, but I haven't finished that. And I can still laugh about it without having any stress, without having any accusation, without having any kind of like, oh my God, regrets and all that. Nothing. So I feel so blessed in this thing that the 2024 gave me. Of course, my previous years are also, but this year especially, I feel so fortunate that I got
Wonderful,
so
Beena.
much out of it. So
Absolutely
much out of it.
wonderful.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Sil. Thank you so much for introducing me this aspect of life where you can get things done without stress.
Well,
You can grow
exactly.
together.
Oh
Even
yeah.
when
Oh
running the
yeah.
job
Oh
or anything, you
yeah.
can grow together, you can laugh together, you can learn together. It's a
Yeah.
big thing in life. And my 2024, it was so full of this. Every single day was about learning and growing, but with joy. With joy.
Exactly. With joy. Once we
Yes.
learn to enjoy learning,
Yes.
life just transforms, it blossoms because that's what life is, learning.
Exactly. So yes, I'm looking forward for the 2025 also to be more of whatever we had
Yeah,
this year.
yeah,
But it is not something that, okay, oh, I have not done it, I didn't get this, and now I'm looking forward for 2025 to bring me something. No, I have
yeah,
enough, and I am looking for more. This
Yeah.
is the feeling right now. This is the state of being right now I am in. And I'm so, so, so happy about this. So 2024, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Universe. Thank you so much this year. And
It's
thank you so much,
super
Syl, and
brilliant.
all my
It's super
friends.
brilliant. Yes,
Yes,
yes, yes.
yes. So this was my thought of the day, because this is going to be the last show of this year, and tomorrow we will
Yeah,
be in 2025, a new year, a new energy, and with new
yeah,
enthusiasm, with new moreness, with new value. We will continue what we are doing right now,
yeah, yeah,
and this is the satisfaction.
yeah,
Satisfaction is the real blessing, that peace of being, that okay, yeah, my year is ending with no regrets. My year is ending with no stress. I'm ending this year with like, no, I'm just starving and I'm hoping for something. No, I'm happy, I'm satisfied, I'm content here, and I'm looking for more. This is super brilliant. What else one can wish for to get out of your life? That when you are feeling satisfied, when you have that peace of being, when you have this freedom of being, and you are looking for more. Thank you so much. Brilliant year. And it is
Wonderful,
going to
Beena.
be
Wonderful,
marvelous
wonderful, wonderful,
2025.
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I'm glad you mentioned about this. I'd completely forgotten it was the end of the year. Yeah. Oh, some things are not
Doesn't
just
make
that
any difference.
aren't that important to me. Every day is magical. So it's just the way I look at things. Every
Of
day is
course, it
magical.
has to
Yeah,
be. So it
yeah,
for me also, that it is like when we go to sleep at the end of the day, and then we wake up and we start a new day. Same with this
yeah,
year. We celebrate that too. That saying good night to, yes, okay, good night, okay, happy
yeah,
dreams and all that. Same applies to the new year. Okay, oh yes, yeah, the 365 days cycle has completed, and now we are going to start a new cycle with new energy. Good. This is how we are. Just okay, for me this is
yeah,
how it is.
yeah,
I just love that. Exactly like when we wish each other that, okay, oh yes, good night and have good dreams and all these things. Same applies to the new year. Why not?
yeah, yeah. Exactly, exactly, exactly. Very cool, Bina. Very, very, very cool. Very cool.
Okay,
Very
so you
cool
are still
indeed.
busy with your sharing?
I'm almost done. I'm just trying to get TikTok working, and I
Okay.
don't know. It's just
Okay, that's good.
every
That
time I open up TikTok, it's different. Like now, I just want to recognize my camera. I'm like, come on, TikTok. All right, well, too bad. Okay. All right, let's go, let's go, let's go, and we will continue from where we were yesterday. Let's see if I can find the right window. Yeah, it's exciting stuff. It's exciting stuff.
exactly. This is exciting.
Oh yeah, very, very, very. There we go. We're dealing with the ongoing project of Don Juan to uh, to get Carlos to perceive energy directly and to use his
Yes.
will. We're on a double theme here, right? But mainly, the whole book is about perceiving energy directly, right? And very exciting, very exciting. All right, I shall screen share. Uh, yeah, and yeah, where we said working on the notes. Yeah, all right, let me screen share. Let me screen share. All right, we'll do it precisely. There we go. Okay. If anybody knows how to get a vertical image, oh, now today it is. See, I don't know. Yesterday, my image on Instagram was a landscape, but I wanted to be portrait. Otherwise, I'm not showing there. Anyway, today it is. All right. Well, whatever. I don't know why. It's working. It's working. Very good. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Veena, will you read, please?
I'm just busy. Just a minute that I'm busy responding, like
Oh,
sharing
let me
on
go then.
YouTube.
All right, all right,
Yes.
all right. I'll read a bit. Working on my notes, I had come across various questions. Is the green fog, like the guardian, something that one has to overcome in order to perceive? I asked Don Juan as soon as we sat down under his Ramada on August 8, 1969. Yes, one must overcome everything. How can I overcome the green fog? The same way you should have overcome the guardian, by letting it turn into nothing. What should I do? Nothing. For you, the green fog is something much easier than the guardian. The spirit of the waterhole likes you, while it certainly was not your temperament to deal with the guardian. You never really perceived the guardian. Maybe that was because I didn't like it. What if I were to meet a guardian I liked? There must be some people who would regard the guardian I saw as being beautiful. Would they overcome it because they liked it? No, you still don't understand. It doesn't matter whether you like or dislike the guardian. As long as you have a feeling toward it, the guardian will remain the same, monstrous, beautiful, or whatever. If you have no feeling toward it, on the other hand, the guardian will become nothing, and it will still be there in front of you. This is the power of detachment. Detachment is the understanding that we are detaching from interpretation, from connectivity, right? If you have a feeling, you are interpreting, you are connected to it, you are describing it in some way. That detachment is to not describe it, not interpret it, and not um, put your own value, your own ideas onto it. If as long as you do that, you cannot possibly see the thing for what it actually is. You are seeing it filtered through your filter, whichever that is, like dislike, any filter, doesn't matter. Any filter is a distortion. And that's what Don Juan says. By making it nothing, not having any importance to it, any valuation, any interpretation, any mood, any feeling to it, you make it nothing, and then you can see it for what it actually is. That's the whole key. Yeah, make sense, Beena?
Yes. Yes.
The idea that something as colossal as the Guardian could become nothing and still be in front of my eyes was made absolutely no sense. Come on, Carlos, for heaven's sake, think abstractly. It's not nothing literally, it is nothing in the abstract. Yes? Like, come on now, wake up, man, wake up. Do you see the power of conceptuality? The power of conceptuality. Nothing here is a conception, not a literal description. It's a conception. Carlos not making this. Now, all right, Don Juan, you're not making it very clear either, yes? Uh, but we'll come. But the value of this, Carlos's Durness makes Don Juan explain extra, which makes it very clear as to what his meaning is. So we have to thank Carlos for his obtuseness, right? The idea that something as
Yes.
colossal as the Guardian could become nothing and still be in front of my eyes made absolutely no sense. I thought it was one of the allegorical premises of Don Juan's knowledge. At least there he's somewhat getting it a little bit. However, I also felt that if he wanted to, he could explain it to me. I insisted on asking him what he meant by that. And here Carlos is actually correct. Don Juan is able to explain it. He has a reluctance, which is rather interesting. Right? Because look at the very next sentence. You thought the Guardian was something you knew. That's what I mean. But I didn't think it was something I knew. You thought it was ugly. Its size was awesome. It was a monster. You know what all those things are. So the Guardian was always something you knew. And as long as it was something you knew, you did not perceive it. I have told you already. The Guardian had to become nothing, and yet it had to stand in front of you. It had to be there, and it had at the same time to be nothing. Right? Again, conceptually nothing. No interpretation, no labeling, no filtering. Right? That's what Don Juan is meaning. Again, the ability to explain is completely and utterly dependent on the ability to conceptualize. And Beena and I were talking about this before we came on before we started the live when we were on Zoom. Uh, this ability to communicate is not only the ability to conceptualize your own understanding, but your ability to understand and conceptualize the understanding of who you are communicating with. Don Juan does not get inside Carlos's head, and that's why he struggles to communicate. If we want to truly communicate, you have to get inside the head of somebody else and use their language, their understanding, their conceptuality, but use it in such a way to extend and take them past what they are thinking. It's a
Mm.
very particular skill. It's a very particular skill. Uh, how could that be, Don Juan? Right? Well, it had to be there, and it had at the same time to be nothing. How could that be, Don Juan? What you say is absurd. It is, but that is perceiving. There's really no way to talk about it. Perceiving, as I said before, is learned by perceiving. Apparently, you have no problem with water. You nearly perceived it the other day. Water is your hinge. All you need do now is perfect your technique of perceiving. You have a wonderful helper in the spirit of the waterhole. You want to continue, Beena, with as Carlos? You ready? Just
Yes, yes,
yeah.
yes. Okay. Just
At the
put
top.
your cursor. Yes. That's another burning question I have, Don Juan.
You may have all the burning questions you want, but we cannot talk about the spirit of the waterhole in this vicinity. In fact, it is better not to think about it at all. Not at all. Otherwise, the spirit will trap you. And if that happens, there is nothing a living person can do to help you. So keep your mouth shut and keep your thoughts on something else. This is again about not talking, but about attention management. And
Mm.
I would prefer Don Juan to be a bit more precise here. Yeah, it's not just the talking. The talking is a very overt attention, but you don't want to be obsessed and thinking about it and putting fear out or eagerness or anything, because that is like a magnet. It's all about the attention, right? It connects you. So be careful.
Yes.
Energy connections. All right.
Yes. Around 10 o'clock the next morning, Don Juan took his pipe out of its sheath. I
Hmm.
was like, his. Okay. Filled it with a smoking mixture, then handed it to me and told me to carry it to the bank of the stream. Holding the pipe with both hands, I managed to unbutton my shirt and put the pipe inside and hold it tight. Don Juan carried two straw mats, and a small tray with coals. It was a warm day. We sat on the mats in the shade of a small grove of brie trees at
Bria,
the very
Bria,
bria. Okay, a small grove of bria trees at the
Grove.
very what?
Grove. Groove would have
Oh,
two O's.
oh yes. Okay, a small grove of bria trees at the very edge of the water. Don Juan placed a charcoal inside the pipe bowl, and told me to smoke. I did not have any apprehension or any feeling of elation. I remembered that during my second attempt to perceive the guardian, after Don Juan had explained its nature, I had had a unique sensation of wonder and awe. This time, however, although Don Juan had made me cognizant of the possibility of actually perceiving the water, I was not involved emotionally. I was only curious.
Hmm.
Don Juan made me smoke twice the amount I had smoked during previous attempts. At a given moment, he leaned over and whispered in my right ear that he was going to teach me how to use the water in order to move. I felt his face very close, as if he had put his mouth next to my ear. He told me not to gaze into the water, but to focus my eyes on the surface and keep them fixed until the water turned into a green fog. He repeated you need to scroll, over and over that I had to pull all my attention on the fog until I could not detect anything else. You're muted, sir. You need to read.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to get some cough drops here. Look at the water in front of you, but don't let its sound carry you anywhere. If you let the sound of the water carry you, I may never be able to find you and bring you back. Now get into the green fog and listen to my voice.
I heard and understood him with extraordinary clarity. I began looking at the water fixedly, and I had a very peculiar sensation of physical pleasure, an itch, an undefined happiness. I stared for a long time but did not detect the green fog. I felt that my eyes were getting out of focus and I had to struggle to keep looking at the water. Finally, I could not control my eyes any longer and I must have closed them, or blinked, or perhaps I just lost my capacity to focus. At any rate, at that very moment, the water became fixed. It ceased to move. It seemed to be a painting. The ripples were immobile. Then the water began to fizzle. It was as if it had carbonated particles that exploded at once. For an instant, I saw the fizzling as a slow expansion of green matter. It was a silent explosion. The water burst into a brilliant green mist, which expanded until it had enveloped me. I remained suspended in it until a very sharp, sustained, shrill noise shook everything. The fog seemed to congeal,
Congeal.
yeah, congeal into the usual features of the water surface. The shrill noise was Don Juan yelling, "Hey!" close to my ear. He told me to pay attention to his voice and go back into the fog and wait until he called me. I said, "Okay," in English and heard the cackling noise of his laughter.
Please don't talk. Don't give me any more okays. Oh, sorry.
I could hear him very well. The sound of his voice was melodious and above all friendly. I knew that without thinking. It was a conviction that struck me and then passed. Don Juan's voice ordered me to focus all my attention on the fog but not abandon myself to it. He said
One
repeatedly that
moment, Beena. One
yes,
moment. I just want to scroll because I have to just step away for a second.
okay,
So if there's done one, you just read. You just read. But I
okay,
should be back
okay,
before you get to the end of the page.
no problem. I became immersed in the phenomenon. No, sorry. Okay. Don Juan's voice ordered me to focus all my attention on the fog but not abandon myself to it. He said repeatedly that a warrior did not abandon himself to anything, not even to his death. I became immersed in the mist again and noticed that it was not fog at all, or at least it was not what I conceived fog to be like. The fog like phenomenon was composed of tiny bubbles, round objects that came into my field of vision and moved out of it with a floating quality. I watched their movement for a while, then a loud, distant noise jolted my attention, and I lost my capacity to focus and could no longer perceive the tiny bubbles. All I was aware of then was a green, amorphous, fog like glow. I heard the loud noise again, and the jolt it gave dispelled the fog at once, and I found myself looking at the water of the irrigation ditch. Then I heard it again, much closer. It was Don Juan's voice. He was telling me to pay attention to him because his voice was my only guide. He ordered me to look at the bank of the stream and the vegetation directly in front of me. I saw some reeds and a space which was clear of reeds. It was a small cove on the bank, a place where Don Juan steps across to plunge his bucket and fill it with water. After a few moments, Don Juan ordered me to return to the fog and asked me again to pay attention to his voice because he was going to guide me so I could learn how to move. He said that once I saw the bubble, I should board one of them and let it carry me. I obeyed him and was at once surrounded by the green mist. And then I saw the tiny bubbles. I heard Don Juan's voice again as a very strange and frightening rumble. Immediately upon hearing it, I began losing my capacity to perceive the bubbles.
Mount one of those bubbles.
I struggled to maintain my perception of the green bubbles and still hear his voice. I don't know how long I fought to do that, when suddenly I was aware that I could listen to him and still keep sight of the bubbles, which kept on passing through, floating slowly out of my field of perception. Don Juan's voice kept on urging me to follow one of them and mount it. I wondered how I was supposed to do that, and automatically I voiced the word. I felt that the word was very deep inside me, and as it came out, it carried me to the surface. The word was like a buoy that emerged out of my depth. I heard myself saying, "How?" and I sounded like a dog howling. Don Juan howled back, also like a dog, and then he made some coyote sound. Yes?
Yeah, coyote, yeah.
Yeah, coyote sounds and laughed. I thought it was very funny and I actually laughed. Don Juan told me very calmly to let myself become affixed to a bubble by following it.
Go back again. Go into the fog. Into the fog.
I went back and noticed that the movement of the bubbles had slowed down and they had become as large as basketballs. In fact, they were so large and slow that I could examine any of them in great details. They were not really bubbles, not like a soap bubble, nor like a balloon, nor any spherical container. They were not containers, yet they were contained. Nor were they round, although when I first perceived them, I could have sworn they were round, and the image that came to my mind was bubbles. I viewed them as if I were looking through a window. That is, the frame of the window did not allow me to follow them, but only permitted me to view them coming into and going out of my field of perception. When I ceased to view them as bubbles, however, I was capable of following them. In the act of following them, I became affixed to one of them and I floated with it. I truly felt I was moving. In fact, I was the bubble, or that thing which resembled a bubble. Then I heard the shrill sound of Don Juan's voice. It jolted me, and I lost my feeling of being it. The sound was extremely frightening. It was a remote voice, very metallic, as if he were talking through a loudspeaker. I made out some of the words. Oh,
Look at the banks.
I saw a very large body of water. The water was rushing. I could hear the noise it made.
Look at the banks.
I saw a concrete wall. The sound of water became terribly loud. The sound engulfed me. Then it ceased instantaneously, as if it had been cut off. I had the sensation of blackness, of sleep. I became aware that I was immersed in the irrigation ditch. Don Juan was splashing water in my face as he hummed. Then he submerged me in the ditch. He pulled my head up over the surface and let me rest it on the bank as he held my back of my shirt collar, by the back of my shirt collar. I had a most pleasant sensation in my arms and legs. I stretched them. My eyes were tired and they itched. I lifted my right hand to rub them. It was a difficult movement. My arms seemed to be heavy. I could hardly lift it out of the water, but when I did, my arm came out covered with a most astonishing mass of green mist.
Well,
I had I had my arm in front of my eyes. I could see contour, its contour as a darker mass of green surrounded by a most intense greenish glow. I got to my feet in a hurry and stood in the middle of the stream and looked at my body. My chest, arms, and legs were green, deep green. The hue was so intense that it gave me the feeling of Viscous substance.
Viscous.
Viscous, viscous substance. I looked like a figurine Don Juan had made for me years before out of datura root.
1 second. Viscosity is the thickness of liquid, right? So a
Hmm.
paste has a high viscosity, water low.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. Don Juan told me to come out. I noticed an urgency in his voice. I'm green.
Cut it out. You have no time. Get out of there. The water is about to trap you. Get out of it. Get out, out, out.
I panicked and jumped out.
This time you must tell me everything that took place.
He said matter of factly as soon as we sat facing each other inside his room. He was not interested in the sequence of my experience. He wanted to know only what I had encountered when he told me to look at the bank. He was interested in details. I described the wall I had seen. Was
I
the
want to
wall
just
to
take
your...
a quick pause here. Right?
Yes.
And to understand. So here Don Juan is changing things up. Yeah, he's asking for details, and other times he doesn't, right? And he wants to hear, doesn't want to hear. There's not a consistency that we can perceive. That's the important point. We cannot assume because Don Juan is inconsistent that he is inconsistent. By this I mean, we know Don Juan is exceedingly appropriate. Also, Don Juan capital P perceives, and his actions are guided by his capital P perceiving, which means the capital P perceiving is a connectivity to the moreness of things, the greater picture. And
Hmm.
Don Juan is particularly concerned with attunement, even though he doesn't use this conception, the actual word, the term, he nonetheless applies it exceedingly diligently. It is imperative to him. Therefore, he will follow the dictates of his capital P perceiving, no matter how illogical, irrational, or inconsequential they may seem. Always, he will do what is guided to do by his perceiving, which is his attunement. Yeah? Therefore, when he's acting differently, we have to always assume it's appropriate. And it is. Why? Because it's leveraging Carlos to or leveraging him to explain in different ways. And this change up, this variability, we get to see the fullness. Don Juan may not have been aware at the time that this is going to be this big long book series. Yeah? He had no way of knowing that. But, well, at this point, he knows about one book, but not about the series that's coming. And also about how the things are being explained from different perspectives. And this is very powerful for us. Don Juan can only act according to attunement and do what's appropriate, not
Hmm.
knowing the big, big, big picture, right? We can learn to think big picture and we can learn to extrapolate and get some connectivity, right? But that's a learned skill. Nonetheless, my point is, we do need to maintain our capital R receptivity and always assume that Don Juan is being appropriate, even though he might not know how he's being appropriate. Doesn't matter. He is. Why? Because his appropriateness is via attunement and via capital P perceiving. Very important, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Wow.
was the wall to your left or to your right?
I told him that the wall had really been in front of me, but he insisted that it had to be either to the left or to the right.
When you first saw it, where was it? Close your eyes and don't open them until you have remembered.
He stood up and turned my body while I had my eyes closed until he had me facing east, the same direction I had faced when I was sitting in front of the stream. He asked me in which direction I had moved. I said I had moved onward, ahead, in front of me. He insisted that I should remember and concentrate on the tune when I was still viewing the water as bubbles.
That's a typo. It should be time on the time.
Okay. Time when I was still viewing the water as bubbles.
Which way did they flow?
Don Juan urged me to recall, and finally I had to admit that the bubbles had seemed to be moving to my right. Yet I was not as absolutely sure as he wanted me to be. Under his probing, I began to realize that I was incapable of classifying my perception. The bubbles had moved to my right when I first viewed them, but when they became larger, okay, they flowed everywhere. Some of them seemed to be coming directly at me, others seemed to go in every possible direction. There were bubbles moving above and below me. In fact, they were all around me. I recollected hearing their fizzing, thus, I must have perceived them with my ears as well as with my eyes. When the bubbles became so large that I was able to mount one of them, I perceived them rubbing each other like balloons. My excitement increased as I recollected the details of my perception. Don Juan, however, was completely uninterested. I told him that I had seen the bubbles fizzing. It was not a purely auditory or purely visual effect, but something undifferentiated, yet crystal clear. The bubbles rasped against each other. I did not see or hear their movement, I felt it. I was part of the sound and the motion. As I recounted my experience, I became deeply moved. I held his arm and shook it in an outburst of great agitation. I had realized that the bubbles had no outer limit. Nonetheless, they were contained and their edges changed shape and were even uneven and jagged. The bubbles
Jagged.
merged, jagged, okay, uneven and jagged. The bubbles merged and separated with great speed, yet their movement was not dazzling. Their movement was fast and at the same time slow. Another thing I remembered as I recounted my experience was the quality of color that the bubbles seemed to possess. They were transparent and very bright and seemed almost green, although it was not a hue, as I am accustomed to perceiving hues.
You're stalling. Those things are not important. You're dwelling on the wrong items. The direction is the only important issue. Again, Don Juan doesn't say why. Why is that important? If you don't say
Exactly,
why, how would I know for next time? Yeah.
exactly, exactly. I could only remember that I had moved without any point of reference, but Don Juan concluded that since the bubbles had flowed consistently to my right, south at the beginning, the south was the direction with which I had to be concerned. He again urged me imperatively to recollect whether the wall was to my right or my left. I strained to remember. When Don Juan called me and I surfaced, so to speak, I think I had the wall to my left. I was very close to it and was able to distinguish the grooves and the proud protuberances,
Protuberances.
okay, protuberances
Protuberances.
of the wooden armature or mold into which the concrete had been poured. Wow. Very thin strips of wood had been used, and the pattern they had created was compact. The wall was very high. One end of it was visible to me, and I noticed that it did not have a corner, but curved around. He sat in silence for a moment, as if he were thinking how to decipher the meaning of my experience. He
Decipher.
finally said that decipher the meaning of my experience. He finally said that I had not accomplished a great deal, that I had fallen short of what he expected me to do. What was I supposed to do? He did not answer, but made a puckering gesture with his lips.
You did very well. Today you learned that the brewer uses the water to move.
But did I perceive? He looked at me with a curious expression. He rolled his eyes and said that I had to go into the green mist a good many times until I could answer that question myself. He changed the direction of our conversation in a subtle way, saying I had not really learned how to move using the water, but I had learned that a blue could do that. And he had deliberately told me to look at the bank of the stream so I could check my movement.
You moved very fast as a person who knows how to perform this technique. I had a hard time keeping up with you.
I begged him to explain what had happened to me from the beginning. He laughed, shaking his head slowly as though in disbelief.
You always insist on knowing things from the beginning, but there's no beginning. The beginning is only in our thought.
I think the beginning was when I sat on the bank and smoked.
But before you smoked, I had to figure out what to do with you. I would have to tell you what I did, and I can't do that because it would take me to still another point. So perhaps things would be clearer to you if you didn't think about beginnings.
Then tell me what happened after I sat on the bank and smoked.
I think you have told me that already.
Was anything I did of any importance, Don Juan?
He shrugged his shoulders. You
Yes.
followed my directions very well and had no problem getting into and out of the fog. Then you listened to my voice and returned to the surface every time I called you. That was the exercise. The rest was easy. You simply let the fog carry you. You behaved as though you knew what to do. When you were very far away, I called you again and made you look at the bank so you would know how far you had gone. Then I pulled you back.
You mean, Don Juan, that I really traveled in the water?
You did, and very far too.
How far?
You wouldn't believe it.
I tried to coax him into telling me,
Coax him,
but he
coax him.
okay. I tried to coax him into telling me, but he dropped the subject and said he had to leave for a while. I insisted that he should at least give me a hint. I'd like to be kept in the dark.
You keep yourself in the dark. Think about the wall you saw. Sit down here on your mat and remember every detail of it. Then perhaps you yourself may discover how far you went. All I know now is that you traveled very far. I know that because I had a terrible time pulling you back. If I had not been around, you might have wandered off and never returned, in which case all that would be left of you now would be your dead body on the side of the stream. Or perhaps you might have returned by yourself. With you, I'm not sure. So judging by the effort it took to bring you back, I'd say you were clearly in...
He made he made a long pause. He stared at me in a friendly way.
I would go as far as the mountains of central Mexico. I don't know how far you would go, perhaps as far as Los Angeles, or perhaps even as far as Brazil.
Don Juan returned the next day late in the afternoon. I just want to say something here that
Yeah,
when he's saying that you were acting as you know
yeah,
what to do,
yeah,
this is something like okay, maybe if Don Juan would not keep directing him,
yeah.
Carlos would actually do.
I think this is the dilemma that Don Juan faces. That he knows Carlos does know, and so he tries to give him minimal directions, but he can't give him none whatsoever because then nothing happens. It's a real dilemma for Don Juan. Yes, it's a tricky problem. Yeah,
Yes, it's very. This is very interesting that
yeah,
Don Juan says, "Okay, you need to understand," but when he actually tried to do that, then he
right,
says, "Okay,
right,
no," and now you he's saying that okay, you were acting like you already know.
right, right.
Then have trust that
It's
like
a very very perplexing dilemma for Don Juan. This
yes,
confusion with Carlos. But it leads to the story coming out the way it does. And I think this, from the universe's point of view, this is important, this type of story may have been shared before. And likely there were many times where people thought potentially to share it, but oh no, I'm going to be burned at the stake as a witch or a warlock or something. Yeah? So it wasn't possible to always share the stuff because of superstition and literally getting burned at the stake. Yeah. The 60s changed all that. The 60s put a lot of things out there that were never out there before. And because of the whole culture of the 60s, particularly the drug culture, this type of thing became okay and acceptable to put out, became interesting even, became important even. The first time in at least Western history that this was possible. Yeah? Very interesting. So when we think of it in this context, it changes everything, right? And now it's no good the thing's just coming out and it's all condensed. You need this unnecessary detail, really, to give us the fullness. Why? Because it's something so new, so different, so out of our experience. So Carlos's obtuseness is absolutely important here, but also the fact that he does kind of know. Otherwise, it might not go anywhere. He might never have learned this stuff. Very fascinating. All right, please continue, Beena.
Okay. Don Juan returned the next day late in the afternoon. In the meantime, I had written down everything I could recollect about my perception. While I wrote, it occurred to me to follow the banks up and down the stream in each direction and corroborate whether I had actually seen a feature on either side that might have what is the pronunciation for that?
Elicited.
Yes. Okay. Might have elicited in me the image of wall. I conjectured. Okay.
Yeah,
I
you got it.
conjectured that Don Juan might have made me walk in a state of stupor. Stupor.
Stupor, yeah.
Stupor. Okay. A state of stupor, and then might have made me focus my attention on some wall on the way.
Carlos, come on! Let go of your superiority. In other words, Don Juan would go to preposterous lengths to manipulate you and to lie to you. Really? This is unbelievable. Unbelievable idiocy from Carlos. Terrible. Anyway.
In the hours that elapsed between the tune I
Time.
first detected. Sorry?
Between the time. It's a typo
Oh,
again.
okay. Between the time I first detected the fog and the time I got out of the ditch and went back to his house, I calculated that if he had made me walk, we could have walked at the most 2.5 miles. So I followed the banks of the stream for about 3 miles in each direction, carefully observing every feature which might have been pertinent to my vision of the wall. The stream was, as far as I could tell, a plain canal used for irrigation. It was 4 to 5 feet wide throughout its length, and I could not find any visible features in that would have reminded me of forced the image of a concrete wall. When Don Juan arrived at his house in the late afternoon, I accosted him and insisted on reading my account to HTM. What is?
To him.
Yeah, to him. He refused to listen and made me sit down. He sat facing me. He was not smiling. He seemed to be thinking, judging by the penetrating look in his eyes, which were fixed above the horizon.
I think you must be aware by now
He said in a tone that was suddenly very severe that
that everything is mortally dangerous. The water is as deadly as the guardian. If you don't watch out, the water will trap you. It nearly did that yesterday. But in order to be trapped, a person has to be willing. There's your trouble. You're willing to abandon yourself.
it's a bit puzzling, the whole thing for me.
Yeah,
That why don't want is yes.
yeah. Oh, we have to
Okay.
trust. We have to trust in Don Juan's grand appropriateness through attunement. But yeah, it's longer term, right? We have to trust. Overview.
Yes. Okay. I did not know what he was talking about. His attack on me had been so sudden that I was disoriented. I
Attack.
feebly
See
asked
how
him
he
to
translates it into superiority paradigm language. Don Juan
yes.
is sharing something profound and important because he cares about you. He's not trying to attack you and put you down. He's sharing something that's going to save your life, for heaven's sake. Yeah, but no, he sees it as an attack. Ego. Yeah, come on.
His attack on me had been so sudden that I was disoriented. I feebly asked him to explain himself. He reluctantly mentioned that he had gone to the water canyon and had perceived the spirit of the water hole and had the profound conviction I had flubbed my chances to perceive the water. How?
Well, you can read the I asked truly baffled. That helps.
Okay, I asked, truly baffled.
The spirit is a force, and as such, it responds only to strength. You cannot indulge in its presence.
When did I indulge?
Yesterday, when you became green in the water,
I did not indulge. I thought it was a very important moment, and I told you what was happening to me.
who are you to think or decide what is important? You know nothing about the forces you're tapping. The spirit of the water hole exists out there and could have helped you. In fact, it was helping you until you flubbed it. Now I don't know what will be the outcome of your doings. You have succumbed to the force of the water hole spirit, and now it can take you any time. Again, yeah, I feel a bit with Carlos. How in the hell am I supposed to know this? You have an idea of this stuff. I have no conceptuality of it all. So I have no guide as to what is appropriate. None. Right?
Yes,
I feel with Carlos here. I feel with Carlos here.
yes.
Yeah.
Was it wrong to look at myself turning green?
Again, it's not about the specifics here, right? It's about the abstract. I still don't know
Yes,
what exactly the abstract was. Don Juan says, you abandon yourself. You willed to abandon yourself. That was wrong. How was that abandoning himself? This I don't quite understand. Right? He was just interested in
exactly.
something that caught his interest. Now, maybe Don want to explain. Any interest is abandoning yourself to the interest, and the interest is a bubble. You need to remain overview. Okay, now I understand. See, but language. You abandon yourself. You willed to abandon yourself. I don't know if he willed himself to do that. That was wrong. I've told you this already, and I will repeat it again. You can survive in the world of a brewer only if you are a warrior. A warrior treats everything with respect and does not trample on anything unless he has to. You did not treat the water with respect yesterday. Now, that's a different matter. It, Don Juan kind of had said to him that the water is dangerous, but I don't remember specifically saying, right, to remain an observer, to remain outside. Be very careful. Right?
Yes,
That would have been different, right? Maybe Carlson put it in his notes. Yeah? You did not treat the water with respect yesterday. Usually you behave very well. However, yesterday you abandoned yourself to your death like a goddamn fool. A warrior does not abandon himself to anything, themselves to anything, not even to their death. A warrior is not a willing partner. A warrior is not available. And if he involves himself with anything, with something, if he involves, and if they involve themselves with something, you can be sure that they are aware of what they are doing. That's the problem. Carlos was not appropriately aware of what he was doing. He had no sense of the water as being dangerous here. Yeah?
yes,
Yes, Don Juan has told him before that everything in the world is dangerous. But I think that a specific warning would have been appropriate. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. This is a bit puzzling here because
Yeah.
I understand as you are mentioning about the abstract and the clarity of conception, and also the vocabulary of conception here. Because when Don Juan was trying to say that, okay, look at this, okay, but don't get immersed into it, but you have to. So it's a kind of a like, okay, very fine balance you have he has to maintain all the time, that it cannot get completely immersed, but also keeping an eye. So it is kind of like you are saying that, okay, you have to control your senses in two different ways. One is to
Yeah.
continuously focusing on something, and one is to keeping the different side of it, which is quite a difficult if you don't have a clarity. Really a difficult job to do that.
Yeah.
So that was really I don't know. Okay, so
Yeah.
you read this one already? Okay.
No, no, not yet, not yet. I'm just copying this. I'm just copying this to our quote file, yeah, because it's about a warrior treating everything with respect and not abandoning himself. It's an important point, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Uh, I'll read it again. A warrior treats everything with respect and does not trample on anything unless they have to. You did not treat the water with respect yesterday. Usually you behave very well. However, yesterday you abandoned yourself to your death like a goddamn fool. A warrior does not abandon themselves to anything, not even to their death. A warrior is not a willing partner. A warrior is not available. And if they involve themselves with something, you can be sure they are aware of what they are doing. Yeah, and that's the problem. Carlos was not aware of what he was doing. Yeah,
Exactly. I
yeah.
did not know what to say. Don Juan was almost angry. That disturbed me. Don Juan had really behaved in such a way with me. I told him that I truly had no idea I was doing something wrong. After some minutes of tense silence, he took off his hat and smiled and told me that I had gained control over my indulging self. He stressed me that I had to avoid water and keep it from touching the surface of my body for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
I don't think I could go without taking a shower. Don Juan laughed until tears rolled down his cheeks.
You can't go without a shower. At times you're so weak, I think you're putting me on. But it is not a joke. At times you really have no control and the forces of your life take you freely. Yeah, seriously, you can't go without a shower for 3 months? Yeah, big deal, man. Come on.
It's a big deal.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Oh, it's a big deal. Oh, it's a big
Nope.
deal.
Nope. 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 Not.
Phil, it's a big deal.
It's a believed big deal, but if you actually do it, people did it. Most of our ancestors didn't shower for months. No.
No.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Showering is a modern invention, Beena. A 20th century thing. Bathing is also
20th
a very
century
modern
thing?
invention. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yes. No, okay, you are making a distinction in the shower and the, okay, we just take it like, okay, this
But
is this is how
bathing,
it is.
even bathing is something that is, that's bathing started, that's more common in, I don't know, probably the 18th century, I would, or 19th century, the 1800s, in other words. It's also a
At
modern thing.
least, no, it's not a modern thing. Because in Hinduism, it's a really daily ritual, and also that, okay, in
That's
Islam it
bathing in
is,
a river, yes. That's bathing in a river, yes.
but also in Islam also. So this is a regular
But
thing.
not submersing yourself in water, yes. To wash yourself, with a rag or something. That's very different. But even that is not a common practice, Beena. People would go months
Wow.
without bathing. Yeah, not common. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. It's quite interesting.
Okay.
Well, and I know about not showering and being in a bath, right? Immersed in water. When I was in the desert, there wasn't enough water to do that. It wasn't possible. Hmm.
Okay, so the idea of, because we don't consider that, okay, um, in subcontinent, if you ask anyone about the shower, which means that they are going to wash themselves. Either they
Right,
use a
correct.
shower, either they are going to
Right,
use a shower, or they are going to use a bucket and a cup to just okay, wash themselves
right,
and
right. Hand
brushing
washing as
themselves.
opposed to showering or bathing. Yeah, bathing. Yeah,
Yes.
taking a
So
bath.
this is
Yeah,
how.
yeah,
So they all the things will are
yeah.
going to be taken as one thing. The idea
Right.
is to clean yourself with water and something.
Yeah,
Okay, whatever you
yeah,
are going to
yeah,
use.
yeah, yeah. But what I'm saying is, though, this is something that is a cultural thing, not
Hmm.
necessarily an automatic natural thing. I mean, your dog goes a long time without bathing, or your cat. Well, cats will groom
Yeah,
themselves, but your
dog
dog.
and
Yeah.
cat.
I,
Yeah,
I, I understand, but
they
what
have
I'm trying
fur.
to say is
Yeah, because
that,
they have fur.
hang on,
Yes.
yeah, but your skin and your fur is not all that different. I mean, your skin actually cleans itself, by the way, because you have dead skin and it renews and grows. So, in your natural movement and stuff, it regenerates, it recycles. It's a natural process, same as animals, right? My point I was making is, Carlos said it's impossible for him to go 3 months. Your life is on the line. That's the point here.
Hmm.
When it comes to your life being on the line, bathing is a convenience. It's something that, yes, it's important and we like doing, but it's not something that we cannot go without doing. It's not like Don Juan said, you got to go for 3 months without food or water. See,
Hmm.
that's my point here. This is a life or death issue. When it comes to a life, that's why Don Juan was so amused. Your life is on the line, and you say, "Well, I can't not take a shower." Like, seriously? Okay, well, take a shower and die. You see what I mean? It's like preposterous. Like, seriously?
But see,
Yeah.
but see,
Yeah.
this is right there. The difference between the perception, because
Right.
Don Juan
Right.
understand, and he has this trust and this belief that
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
going to happen to him. But because Carlos
Yeah.
actually doesn't have this understanding, the clarity, and no experience at all, so for him this is something like, okay, yes, a
Yeah.
possibility.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah. Yeah.
because he
Yeah.
has already survived so many
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
So his
Yeah.
confidence level is different.
Right.
His
Right.
experience
I
is
mean,
different.
and where Don Juan lived in his hut, there's no bath, no shower. Yeah, you would hand wash, but that was it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And many people live this way around the world, especially in desert
You
climates.
stopped sharing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we come to the end. We'll continue tomorrow because we now come to a very different point here. That's a big
Oh,
point, and I want to. It's a shift over, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah. And this is it's a big point. This whole idea that Carlos has that what Don Juan is asking him to do is impossible. No, it's not, Carlos. It's completely and utterly not. Yeah. So it's just a
This
change
is
in
this is very
conceptuality.
interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's very
Yes,
fascinating.
it's a different perception because of different
Yeah,
experiences.
yeah, 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 yeah. There's many instances of this. You ask any, like, military soldiers that go on extended campaigns and they're living out there, things are different. They change. Okay, it's not as big a deal as what people think it is what I'm trying to say. Because, like I said, most of our ancestors, if you look at old time houses and how they were built, you go, well, where's the bathroom? There is no bathroom. There's maybe an outhouse, but there's no showers, no bath, no plumbing. Yeah, see, just wasn't
Yes.
available. And when you think of this, oh, so our ancestors didn't bathe, they didn't bath, they didn't shower.
Sir, please check your WhatsApp messages.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Just a fun thing.
yeah. Is it part of? Do you want to do it part of the live or something different?
No, it is just fun. Okay.
Oh,
So
oh,
yes.
I'm Blue Man Group. I've joined Blue Man Group. Yeah, very interesting. I wonder why
But
it's
look,
showing me so blue.
Yes, but also look at the branches of like okay,
Yeah,
wave branch.
yeah, yeah.
It comes out
Interesting.
like the thunder is coming out of your head.
Yeah, yeah. Beena taking screenshots of me and showing that, the background was
Yeah.
making me look very wild because it was zoomed in
Oh
too.
yes. Okay.
Very fun, Beena,
Coming
very
back
fun.
to it's a yes.
Yeah, well,
Sorry,
we'll leave
sorry. A
here. We'll end
non-serious
it
thing.
here. No, no
Yes.
problem. We'll end it
Yes.
here. We'll have fun.
But this is something very interesting. Different perception of the same incident.
Yeah, yeah,
This is something we need
yeah,
to pay attention that
yeah,
we all can have a different perception of the same
yeah,
reality.
yeah,
The
yeah,
reality for Don Juan is different, but the
yeah.
reality for Carlos is different, and expectations are different because
Exactly,
Don Juan
exactly.
has this
Yeah.
maybe a memory of that experience, or maybe it is just coming out as a belief, or that detail. What is the word for that when people just share things generation by generation? Word
Oh,
of mouth. Okay.
yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. Cultural memory, I guess.
Yes. So he is sharing that, and he has this as an actuality, as a reality. But for Carlos, it is very difficult to accept this idea, even when
Yeah,
he is trusting Don Juan, but still because he has never experienced that. So for him, it is like, yes, it can be.
yeah, yeah.
But okay, but what about this? What about this? He is not grasping the fullness of the danger of this thing, because
Correct,
in
correct, correct.
his
Yeah,
data there is no
yeah,
incident like that.
correct. Don
See,
Juan is coming
the
from a very
fear.
different paradigm than Carlos is, and he's
Exactly,
not taking this
exactly.
paradigm difference
So
into account. However, Bina, the fact that
yes,
Don Juan does not do this and this massive paradigm difference, the benefit for us as the reader is profound. Yes?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right, let's end
But
it there
also the
and then,
realization.
oh, go
I
ahead, go
just
ahead.
just want to add something.
Oh,
I
go
don't
ahead.
know why you are so in a hurry. Okay, just want to add something. Because the danger is okay. Just assume the danger is real. The
Yeah,
situation is real,
yeah,
100%. Don Juan is aware of it. Carlos is getting all the caution, everything that okay, don't do this, and then you have that. But the feelings of fear is not coming because Carlos doesn't have any data available to it
exactly.
connected to this
Not just
incident.
data, but conceptuality does not even have.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
our feelings are dependent
yeah, yeah,
on the experiences and all those things,
yeah,
which can be
yeah,
true, cannot be true. So this is very
exactly.
interesting. It's about feelings. Thank
Yeah,
you so much, Sil. Yeah, I know that you were giving the question, but this is so huge for me to
yeah,
understand that
yeah. No, no, no,
feelings are
it's all good. No, it's all good. It's very important to share. Very important. Very, very
yes,
important.
yes.
And
Okay,
also, yeah, we're gonna leave. You're gonna finish, but come back right away. I want to share something before you go eat.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
All right.
So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I
Bye.
assume that Joseph would be there because I was missing his comments. Yesterday,
Yeah,
we missed that totally.
yeah.
Sorry, Joseph, for that because I don't know why we just carried away with all
No,
these
he
things.
made them afterwards, not live.
Oh,
That's
okay,
why.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then it's okay. I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
I,
why?
I,
Why
I
are
I
we missing
respond
it?
anyway. I always respond. I responded in
Oh, yes.
comments. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And if you are watching it later, record it. And if you find anything interesting, if you have
Comment.
something to share, please do leave a comment there because
Yep,
by doing
yep,
so, you
yep.
are making a deliberate choice
Yeah,
of focusing your attention on the desired things, not just random.
yeah,
Randomness
yeah,
is killer in our life because
yeah,
we are not fools, like, okay, sorry to say, but this is something like, okay, you cannot just randomly live your life. It's all
yeah,
about making choices, because by making a deliberate choice, only this is the way you can make progress. So the end of the year is, please make deliberate choices and don't assume that your even the smallest act or gesture is not
yeah.
going to be counted. It is going to make a huge difference in your
Oh
life,
yeah, oh
other
yeah,
people's
oh yeah.
also. So please do click like and subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys in 2025.
There you go. There you
Bye.
go. There you go. All right. Bye bye, everybody.